Daniel and Revelation, Lesson 10. Daniel received visions of the end-time events over a several-year period of time in his life. We can read about some of those visions in 5 different chapters in Daniel. Chapters 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And each chapter begins with verse 1 and telling about the vision. Daniel 7:1 came in the first year of Belshazzar, the last king of Babylon. Daniel 8:1 tells about the vision he received in the 3rd year of Belshazzar, 2 years later. Daniel 9:1 tells about the vision Daniel received in the 1st year of Darius the Mede, who took over Babylon from Belshazzar. Daniel 10:1 then jumps to the 3rd year of Cyrus the Persian many years later. Daniel 11:1 jumps back to the 1st year of King Darius the Mede. In this lesson, we're going to focus primarily on Daniel chapter 10. So we read, starting with verse 1. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing, that is, a vision of the end times, was revealed to Daniel, whose Chaldean name was Belteshazzar. The Babylonians would rename their captives according to their gods and their religion. So Daniel became Belteshazzar. And that vision that he saw was true, but the time appointed for it to occur was long in the future from Daniel's day. Daniel said, in those days I was mourning and fasting for 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh or meat, nor wine into my mouth. Neither did I anoint myself at all till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. And in the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was standing on the bank of the river Hiddekel, the modern Tigris River, I lifted my eyes and saw a man, that is, an angel, who was clothed in linen, whose loins were girt about with fine gold of Uphaz. He had on a golden girdle. And his body looked like a beryl, a precious stone. And his face was as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes were as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass. And the voice of his words were like the voice of a multitude. Now, some think this person was a pre-incarnate Christ, and it sounds much like the description of Christ in the book of Revelation, but hang on. The passages ahead seem to identify this being as an angel. Just hang on. And I, Daniel, alone saw that vision. For the men who were with me did not see the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone, and I saw that great vision, and there remained no strength in me, because my vigor in me had been turned into frailty. And I retained no strength. But then I heard the voice of his words. And when I heard the voice of his words, I was in a deep sleep upon my face, and my face was facing the ground. A hand touched me and set me on my knees and on the palms of my hands. And then he said to me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand these words that I speak unto you, and stand upright, for to you I am now sent. When he spoke that word to me, I stood trembling. Then he said to me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day you set your heart to understand and to discipline yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come to you because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me for 21 days. This is Gabriel the angel, obviously, and he came to bring the answer to Daniel's prayer that he started on day 1 of his 21-day fast, 3 full weeks. The answer went out from heaven. But on the way there, Gabriel, with the answer for Daniel, got opposed by the prince of Persia. This is an angelic being who rules over the earthly kingdoms in the heavenly realm. I was opposed by this kingdom of the prince of the kingdom of Persia for 21 days. In other words, Daniel kept praying. It's a good thing he didn't give up, because Gabriel finally got there with the answer. So, Daniel stuck with it until he got the answer. The prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me for 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, an archangel, came to help me. Michael is the prince over Israel. He's a good angel. And I remained there with the kings of Persia. Now I want to explain. No scripture has Jesus engaging in combat with angels. But this one did, and was about to do it again after he delivered that message to Daniel. Moreover, if it was Jesus Christ in combat with an angel, he would not need the aid of another angel. All earthly kingdoms are ruled by angels. And the angel ruling over one kingdom will fight to keep control over his kingdom and not allow another angel to take his place. That's obvious from the book of Daniel and Revelation. So those kingdom rulers are obviously fallen angels. Just hang on now. God's angels are also involved in all heavenly battles to make sure God's prophecies come to pass. The angel over one kingdom is defeated and another one takes its place in world history. Daniel shows us that. Now, if they were not fallen angels, then the angel Gabriel would not have had to fight them to secure a kingdom change. They would have cooperated. And he said to Daniel, "Now I have come to make you understand what will befall your people, what will happen to your people," the Jews. Daniel's people were the Jews. And it said, "in the latter days." So even though these visions had elements of historical, prophetic visions that happened in history, in Daniel's day and maybe shortly after Daniel's day, the ultimate purpose of these visions was to show what was going to happen in the end times, the days in which we were living right now. It will befall your people in the latter days. For the vision is yet for many days, the end time message, end time prophecy. And when he had spoken those words to me, I set my face toward the ground and became unable to speak. Then one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke and said to the one standing before me, "My Lord," with a little L, not the big L, not God, little L, Lord, "by this vision my sorrows have overwhelmed me, and I have retained no strength. Therefore how can I, the servant of this my Lord, little L, talk with this my Lord, little L, again? But as for me, no strength remains in me, neither is there any breath left in me." Then came again the one like the appearance of a man, and touched me, and strengthened me. Then he said, "O man greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto you, be strong." Yes, be strong. I noticed that 3 times here in Daniel, he was told that he was greatly beloved by God. What an encouragement that had to be. Now, he was standing trembling. He was in fear of this angelic appearance, but he was told that he was a man greatly beloved. "And when he had spoken to me, I was strengthened, and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said unto me, Do you know why I've come to you? And now I must return to fight the prince of Persia." In the first battle, Gabriel was coming to Daniel with his answer to his prayer. And that was the reason for the fight. The prince of Persia, angelic prince of Persia, withstood Gabriel to try to keep him from getting that message to Daniel. But now he's going back to fight the prince of Persia, the angelic being, again, for a different reason, because now there's going to be a kingdom change. "And now I must return to fight the prince of Persia. And when I'm gone from that battle, the prince of Greece will come." That's the picture we see here. These are angelic beings over different kingdoms, and one kingdom will fall and another one will take its place, and angelic beings are over each of those kingdoms. But first I will show you what is noted in the scripture of truth. Then he puts a parenthetic statement in here, kind of sandwiches this in. "There is none that holds with me in these things in the spirit realm, except Michael, your prince." Michael is a good angel, not a fallen angel, and he's a prince over Israel. He was an archangel. Now, continuing in Daniel 11, 1 through 4, which continues this vision that Daniel saw. "And in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I, Gabriel, stood to confirm and strengthen him," talking about Michael the archangel. In other words, Michael came to help me recently, but way back I helped him in another angelic battle in the heavenlies. "And now I will show you the truth about all this vision. There will arise 3 more kings in Persia, and even a 4th king will be far richer than all the previous ones." And by his strength, through his riches, he will stir up all against the kingdom of Grecia. Now, for a long time, Persia had been at odds with Greece, which was beginning to form into a kingdom in the far west, and was therefore a threatening power to Persia. Then a mighty king will arise in Greece, who will rule with great dominion and do whatever he wills. This is talking about Alexander the Great. Now, if you saw some of the other videos that I did, you'll remember that I had this poster showing the goat with one horn between its eyes and the ram with two horns, one higher than the other. The ram representing the kingdom of Media and Persia. The higher horn came up last, representing Persia, who finally took over the Medes. And then the goat with the one horn was the kingdom of Greece, with Alexander the first king, that horn. But when Alexander, rises up, his kingdom will be broken apart and will be divided toward the four winds of heaven, north, south, east, and west. When Alexander had defeated Persia and went on farther east to India, he contracted some kind of fever and died at 33 years old. So that was the time that his kingdom was divided up among the four winds of heaven. In other words, his kingdom was divided four different ways among four different generals under him, but they never regained the kingdom power that Alexander had built into that worldwide kingdom at that time. So it will be divided, but not to his posterity, that is, not to his offspring, nor according to the dominion that he had. It was never a world power like it was under Alexander. For his kingdom will be divided up and ruled by others besides those four generals. Now I want to show you this truth. This reveals that when Daniel saw the vision that the shaggy goat from the west, the kingdom of Greece, Alexander being its first king, attacking the two-horned ram, Persia, that spiritual battle was taking place up in the heavens. In one vision, Daniel saw a goat with one horn between its eyes attacking the ram with two horns, and the goat defeating the ram. This is a vision. It was something that was going to happen on earth. Greece, the kingdom of Greece, taking over the kingdom of Persia. But in this other vision that we just read about, we see that in the heavenlies there was a battle. Gabriel was fighting the prince, the fallen angelic being who was a spiritual prince in the heavenlies over Persia. And so what I want to show you is what God wanted us to see in the book of Daniel is that while one vision showed what was going to happen on earth, in another vision it showed at that same time this had to happen in the heavens, so this would happen on earth. There was a battle in the heavens between Gabriel and the evil angelic prince of Persia, so that the angelic prince of Persia would be defeated and the prince of Greece would come. That's what he said. So, all this at least shows that major historical events on earth are determined by spiritual battles going on in heaven. But it is also true that those heavenly events are largely brought about by earthly prayer activity, which was true in the case with Daniel's prayer. And I want to say this: if angelic beings ruled nations back in Daniel's day, then the same is true today. We'll see that in the book of Revelation. Well, we'll finally get to the book of Revelation, but there's more interesting stuff in the book of Daniel, and we're going to continue that until we finish it. Now, in these studies, we found out that God has been actively involved in human history since day one, and he will continue to be active in human history until day last.